Today's guests played and coached together at DLB, and what a ride it was. Joining me now are a couple of DLB Lakers, Tracy and Sara Bonn. You know them from all the basketball games. Tracy, the head coach, and Sara, a long time, hopefully make you blush, star on the Lakers basketball team. First, Coach, tell us a little bit about the earliest times that you were coaching Sara. It might not have even been like the high school capacity or just like the very earliest opportunity.
It started probably at the Y, other than just little stuff around the house. But at the Y, I helped create that itty bitty sports program. So that's for kids 3, 4, 5 years old. So both Brayden and Sara just came to work with me and went through those programs as 3-year-olds. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it was kindergarten, Y ball, and first grade, and
the rest is history.
All the way through, yeah.
Great. So, Sara, kind of what's maybe the good parts and maybe not so good parts sometimes when your parent is the coach, you go home with the coach after all that time?
You know, going home with the coach goes both ways. It kind of depends on how the game goes. Mm-hmm. For the most part, it was really good. You know, you get that coaching at home. Also, you kind of get the talks or whatever. And then the hard parts were kind of separating, church and state. Making sure that on the court, it's a player-coach relationship, not a mom-daughter. There's no favoriting. There's no difference between me and any other player. That probably was the hardest part, but we did fine.
There was even separating of church and state in the public schools, apparently. So now, first, how was it tough sometimes to be that tough coaching voice when the player is your kid compared to players that aren't your kid?
I don't think so. Not too bad. I'd never want to hurt any of the girls' feelings, regardless if it was mine or one of the other girls. They all kind of become yours after a while, and you'd never want to say or do anything that would hurt them. But as far as coaching tough and getting the best out of them, I don't think we ever had problems with the difference between Sara and anybody else. They all handled it really well. I'd say I probably was louder maybe with Sara at times, just because I know what she can handle. I know what she can do. And I wasn't afraid of her parents getting mad at me.
Right. So. One less voice to hear. You never have parents coming after you, do you, Coach?
Not in DLB.
Never, ever. And this will be the first time to be able to, hold them out and be like, come on the show.
Community.
Yeah. Sara, was there, obviously, it seems like it worked out all right, but maybe the first time that Tracy really had to come down on you for something, was it weird? You're like, what the heck, Mom? Anything like that, or did it kind of feel natural from the start?
No, it felt pretty natural most of the time. If she ever had to come down on me, I definitely deserved it. So I was never like, what the heck, Mom? I was like, yeah, I deserve that one. All right.
Good. So even apart from the high school coaching that you did with Sara and even at the Y, tell us a little bit about the commitment that you guys as parents have to have for the kids that want to be at a year-round basketball player, whether it's an AAU type thing or get into all these camps to get better, make sure you're a varsity player.
Yeah, we've been really insane as a family for quite a while, with Brayden and Sara being so close together age-wise, and then being so active. And in the fall every year it was football and volleyball, and then basketball, and then track and baseball, and summer leagues and workouts. And then you've got Jake, is quite a bit younger, but now he does his baseball and all that stuff too. So Dustin and I have done a lot of divide and conquer. So he has had to miss some of Sara's games so that he could go be at an away game for Brayden. Same in the summertime. So I'd take her to Minneapolis or Sioux Falls, and Dustin would stay here with Brayden's Legion and Jake's Midget League. So a lot of divide and conquer. Now when Jake was really little, community members would take him for us. So I would ride the bus, and Jake would go with a community member, and they'd bring him to the game for us, and then meet Dustin there. And so it really was a village.
You kind of know by now for Jake's last, athletic journey that you guys will have maybe the roadmap of what to expect more so, especially when it's not two kids that are going completely separate ways all the time.
Yeah, you'd think it would be easier. There's got to be more minutes available for him.
Yeah, I hear you for sure.
This last couple of years, it's just been busy.
Sara, when you look back to the times where you're not practicing or playing with the Lakers in the basketball court, thinking about AAU and the camps, what was kind of the biggest help to, you're going to be a college athlete soon, and we'll get into that. Just the biggest help that you got from the extracurricular, I guess, of being a better basketball player and putting in that kind of time?
all those different basketball settings helped me learn higher level basketball, because we go down to Sioux Falls or to Minneapolis and they're not calling fouls
No,
very
it's rough stuff.
often. It's a lot rougher and it's a lot faster and it's a lot closer to a college level game than you can get in high school basketball. So I think being on these different teams really opened up a door for me to experience higher levels than I can normally.
I've heard a lot of that from like Ernest Bell, his tough teams that he goes to the Twin Cities. And he's real prideful of his teams. All my buddies from YZO, whether it's Julie Stewart, she's going to be on the show real soon. Sarah Duffner had her on too. So yeah, I heard a lot about that. And it's really interesting to hear you say that, because I remember like probably a few years back when you had this to say about the benefits of camps.
I learned a lot. I've usually looked down, and now I've learned to fix that. And so yeah, it's really educational.
Since then, that was about the 7th grade. How well have you been able to dribble with your head up more since that camp at MSU?
All I have to say about that is I was not very good at being interviewed back then. Oh, goodness.
We've all come a long way since 2015.
Oh, gosh.
So for those not in the know, that was probably one of my first news stories that I did here. I got here in May of 2015. That was a summer basketball camp in the slow times. And I think Sarah in the 7th grade was at that camp, and she was super enthusiastic. And it was a great contribution, because oftentimes you see all these little kids like clamoring to be on the camera and stuff. When they get hooked up to the mic, then they're just like stone-faced and they can't say anything. And then you get Sarah, who is a total... You're going to have this at the graduation party, right?
Sure, yeah.
This will be on right
It's
after
never
it. But
gonna
I
go
mean,
away.
Oh, of course.
the confidence that she displays.
I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I've usually looked down, and now I've learned to fix that. And so yeah, it's really educational.
You'll see that on TikTok tomorrow.
Oh no!
Let's go back in the Wayback Machine for Mom here for a few minutes, just to take the heat off Sarah for a little while.
You're welcome.
Growing up I had to ask how you said it, Opheim, Montana. What were the high school sports like in comparison to here, the Class B North Dakota type feel?
I'd say we're pretty close. We were actually Class C in Montana because our town, we're so small. But we had, I don't know how they did it, but we had excellent coaches all the way through. Like, I remember my 4th grade coach just pushed us, and she was awesome. And then, my sister, my cousin, we had state-bound teams all through high school. So very similar. Like, we had to travel a lot further to play. Like, our closest game was probably 45 miles away.
So you have it easier in the district nowadays compared to Montana for sure.
Oh yeah.
I can even picture, like, even when you look in the WDA here, and like those are like the larger schools. If you're not going in like the Bismarck Loop, or like Minot is just the only Class A, or
Right.
Williston, every road trip is like 100-some miles, and that's like the big time up here. It's crazy how kids can handle
did
that.
they have to get off the bus and open cattle gates? Because we did.
Oh yeah, well, it's not like New. Yeah, I mean they're not all like New Salem or Opheim. Okay.
Yeah, coach had to hop off the bus and go open the gates, and the bus could drive through and then shut the gate again.
Sarah, you don't have to travel as much in the district, but for like the other events that you do, maybe track might be a little bit more widespread around here, and just the off-season basketball stuff. How did you guys maybe avoid just like getting grinded out, man? Or was it just always an enjoyable ride wherever you were headed, whether it was with your family or your friends?
There's a lot of sleeping involved.
Perfect.
You sleep a lot on road trips, but when we're awake, like on basketball buses or the volleyball bus, there's a lot of singing involved. Everyone, we always have a speaker person that brings their speaker every time, and we'll sing a bunch, or someone bring a deck of cards, and you just find something to take your mind off the several hours of driving. And you just kind of make a fun time out of it.
What was the greatest hits album of like your freshman year versus your senior year that just wrapped up?
Greatest
That's
hits.
a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
That is
We've kind of kept throwbacks a thing for all 4 years, I
Yeah.
guess. Like, we've always had the same couple songs.
They go country, they go 80s, they go little hip hop.
I was gonna
You
say
just never know what's going to come.
Yep.
out
It
of the
depends
back
on
of
the
the bus
day,
there.
really.
Even when like the class of 2020 talks about throwbacks, I graduated 10 years ago, and even that can hurt my feelings, Tracy. So you're not alone at all in that. But yeah, I mean, all the baseball guys and the basketball players that I've been talking to about like the road trip music, sometimes they can think of the genre and they're not sure of like the one hit and the one moment.
Yeah.
Because maybe it's not good enough for my podcast. You know, this is trying to keep it clean anyway, things like that. Tracy, when you got done playing, why did you want to be a coach and be around it still?
I don't know. Maybe it goes back to my coaches in high school. Like they sacrificed their time and they put their families with us. You know, their kids were on the bus with us as well. You know, they gave us that time and wanting to give that back a little bit, but just to stay with the game. Like you never want to be done with the game. So this will be a way I can do it for longer than I can play anymore. So
Would you ever see yourself doing the coaching, Sarah, when you're done playing at all?
For sure. I've always told myself that no matter where I end up, at some point I'm going to be coaching a team. I don't know what age or what level, but I've always told myself that one day I'm going to be a basketball coach.
Awesome. Now, Tracy, Sarah's age going into you getting the DLB job, maybe it had something to do with you becoming the head coach, but what was kind of like the process to you getting that job?
they asked me my first year if I would take the youngest team, the C squad. I was just having Jake, brand new job, first special ed teaching job I'd ever had, and I just was not ready for that.
This was out when? Which year?
DLB, let's see, '08, August of 2008.
You can't forget Jake's birthday. That's like the reference
He's
point.
09.
It's like Tara Hichlin always having her kids right outside of the volleyball season.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes, that's how that works.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of maybe grew up together again, like coaching a DLB and Sarah playing much?
Yeah, I coached the 5th and 6th grade, a lot less time commitment that way. But then a few years into it, kind of as a family, we kind of thought we could manage it and make it work, and that's where it started.
Here we are. We're just going to keep on rolling.
Yeah.
Now, Sarah's a track athlete, Brayden, baseball player. Jake's got his sports too coming up even. Is it tough, like, not having the coach's perspective when you're watching your kids play at all? I don't think you're, like, that parent. But, I mean, like, you're not calling the plays and you're not yelling and calling the timeouts or anything.
No, but I have said multiple times that if I could just mic the coach and just have it in my ear, because, well, with other sports besides basketball, I know enough to know what's good and bad. I know, but I don't know strategy of volleyball. I don't know strategy of football. So I really want to just hear what they're saying just for curiosity. But then when the kids get home, practice games, my first question has always been the same no matter what. What'd your coach say in the locker room after the game? Because then I give them a chance to kind of give me some perspective, and then we can hash out whatever went right or wrong. But yeah, it's a little harder to sit up there and just cheer.
Not that you want to break from your mom coaching you, but how nice is it to just have her as a fan for your other sport?
I don't know if it is nice.
Oh, really? Okay.
It is really nice sometimes to get that different perspective. Like with AAU, it was nice to have a different coach, but like mom was still always on the sideline. You were at every single one of my tournaments.
Yeah.
So I always had her in my ear. So I don't know if I've ever really had like a coaching experience without mom. Because whether she was the head coach or the one on the sideline, like she was always there, you know, helping me out. So Jamestown's going to be a new thing.
What, even like when it's not basketball though? Like what about track?
Well, she knows quite a bit about track too.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, yep, she's right there too. The only thing that, the least one is volleyball, I guess, because you didn't have volleyball growing up. But
Yeah. Well, somebody in the research department at the Ben Bar Sports Podcast is getting fired for not knowing like the rest of the Tracy Bonn Hall of Fame resume that she has.
Right.
Sarah, what were kind of the best times that you had as being a DLB Laker across the board?
You know, that's really hard because I've always had, like, every team I've ever been on, it's just fun people. So, like, our bus rides are fun, our practices are fun, just kind of, you know, everyone's super lighthearted, but we still know how to, you know, nose to the grindstone and work hard. So I guess the most fun would be just those times I got to spend with my teammates and just kind of, you know, relax and have a good time.
What do you guys think makes DLB's fan base unique to the other ones in the district or the region?
They're loyal. Like, we have the best fans. You go to gyms, and oftentimes even when we're away, our crowd outnumbers the hometown crowd. And they're, you know, you look up and you can always catch a person or two on their phone checking text messages or whatever, but for the most part, they're in it. They know the sport well enough to cheer properly and know what's going on. They're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Same in like track.
Yeah.
Like I'll look up in the stands and there's people who don't have a kid on the track team. They won't have any relation to anyone on the track team, and they'll be sitting up there, hot weather, cold weather, 3 hours away, and they'll come to almost every single track meet.
Yeah. That's got to be like the big separator, right? Like you have no family and on the team or coaching or whatever, and you're still showing up. It's probably big difference or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So avoiding the cliched answer that I would always get on the news from maybe either of you guys or anybody, in the scope of all the sports, how tough is a place to play for DLB? Like for road teams coming in to Des Lacs, Burlington, compared to the other ones?
I think our new gym is loud. Just the way it's built, you don't even have to be that loud for it to get overwhelmingly loud. Other than that, like that new floor is so nice that probably creates an advantage for everybody because it's such a nice floor. So nice. But yeah, it's loud in there, and you are outnumbered by a lot usually, fan-wise.
You guys' new gym isn't quite as different as the really small Berthold huge painting of the Bomber gym versus their new gym. Yeah. But what about the acoustics from Burlington to Des Lacs? How much of a difference was that at all? Or was it just Paula Bachmeyer yelling no matter what?
Well, you give her a mic, what's she supposed to do? Right. I feel like Des Lacs is louder, but maybe that's just me. I don't know.
I felt like sound kind of got lost in Burlington. I'm not sure why, but it's just Des Lacs. I don't know if maybe our fans got louder, but you can tell there's some moments you just kind of stand there like, whoa, there's a lot going on in here.
You got a little bit into like the belting out songs and whatnot. I was just curious, maybe the best road memories when you're not around here, besides even that, anything else come to mind when you're at the hotels or going through like the tournament all-day grind type thing for either of you guys?
We haven't gotten to do hotels. Nope. We're too close.
You got to get into the state tournament.
I know. Unless it's in Minot, then we still don't get to. I don't know. They're weird. Like, I always tell them the same thing. If we go into a public place and, like, be respectful, don't be loud, because they're just loud. They're fun, loud kids. Not sports related, not on the court. My favorite is the Christmas area, or Christmas time of year, when they decided to choreograph and put together a dance on the bus to Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas.
There's a bunch of like tinsel everywhere and whatnot.
No, it was choreographed to where they all laid down and they put their feet up in the air and then they kicked to the beat and then they all stood up and it was a process. It probably took an hour.
We tried to get on the Ellen show, but she wasn't having it.
She doesn't have a lot of things behind the scenes by the sound of it. I don't want her giving me a call and having her people come to get me. But yeah, that was pretty much the answer that I expected out of both of you, honestly. Yeah. Sarah, who are the teammates, might even stretch through volleyball, basketball into the track season? I know a lot of great Lakers go to softball instead. I mean, who are you kind of most close with when you were playing?
I got probably most closely, like the closest friendships with, it'll be next year's senior class. So like Ava Willie, Shelby Rudin, Brinley Benno, Reese Seiss, Brooklyn Benno, that group, because those girls were in more than one sport with me for more years. And, they're closest to my age. I could relate with them about a lot of stuff, and we hang out outside of school.
I'd say Kylie on the other end.
And Kylie.
On the other side of that.
Well, me and Kylie have been friends for a really long time, actually. We've been pretty close.
It's Kylie Loft down at Valley City State right now.
Yep, and then she was on that AAU team with me. Actually played up on her team 2 summers ago. So me and her, year-round, we've always kind of been together. Me and her got pretty close.
Yeah.
Why did you want to play both basketball and track and field in college?
Honestly, I think it's because I'm not quite ready to be done yet, And that was what they offered me when they offered the scholarship. It's a joint scholarship, so I'm not sure if I could turn down one end or the other, but I've always wanted to be a college athlete, and I just kind of got the best of both worlds because those are my 2 favorite sports. So
was that the number one thing about going to Jamestown, was like the 2-sport opportunity for you, or what else really sold you about being there athletically, academically, all that good stuff?
the sports was definitely a really big reason, but when we went to tour there, immediately they made me feel right at home.
Yeah.
And the campus, it's such a nice campus. They have a lot of old architecture there, but then the inside is all very modern, and they have a lot of really nice facilities, but then every faculty member, coach, teammate, I sat in on a basketball practice and a track practice, everyone just immediately just welcomed me like I had already been going there. It's just a super welcoming environment, and I loved it.
What's it been like? Obviously, the parents and kids, when a kid goes off to college, you have a lot of things to consider. But having sports on top of that, what were the discussions like?
We've had a lot of around the table talking about just being ready for the responsibilities that it requires to. I mean, obviously, first you have to be a good student, or you don't get to play basketball or track, so that comes first. Just talking about keeping your responsibilities at the forefront of your mind and not slacking in any one place or the other. Meeting with both the coaches down there, they're both awesome with working together. So when it's basketball season, the track coaches told her we're hands off during that. You know, you play basketball, you work on basketball, and then the other way, the basketball coach said, you know, once you're done with basketball, then away you go onto your track season. But I'd say just between our family members, that's what we talk about the most, is just working hard in all of them so that you don't lose one or the other.
Right.
Aww. I think this will lead well into the next one. How often, first, are the Bonds going to be making that trip down to Jamestown to watch Sara play? And then on the other side, Sara, you said you're close with a lot of the juniors from this year. How often can you get back? I mean, I guess maybe volleyball lends itself the most, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps, yeah. Just tell us a little bit about how many trips between Des Lacs and Jamestown both ways are going to be happening right now.
I'm going to come as much as possible. I don't know how much basketball and track I'll get to since I'll be in season. But whenever I get the chance, I'll definitely be making a trip down here.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how schedules play out, but it's a quick trip. It's not a hard drive, so.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on, you know, if she starts out playing JV, then those come closer this way too. So maybe playing Bismarck, maybe playing Botno, you know, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
May go too.
Yeah, there might be a few high school players that you played a lot against like with those other junior colleges. What's that going to be like, continuing it?
Well, there's a couple players that I'm really good friends with, and all throughout high school ball, we actually talked during games. Like, they'd be taking the ball out, and we'd have a short little conversation, because I usually end up guarding them, so I have a feeling it's going to be quite similar to that. Just, friendly competition. Morgan Hare, me and her... Yeah, we talk on the court quite a bit, because she was also on the Indy attack team, so she's another one of those girls I kind of traveled with everywhere, and we got pretty close, and now we talk on the court.
You mean it's not like always heated, like the narrative I'm trying to play on TV? Or what?
No, it's not always heated.
Between those two.
No, like me and her have the friendship where we could just absolutely run each other into the ground on the court. You know, hard-nosed defense. Just absolutely go at each other, and then we walk off the court and say, hey, good game. High five. We're still really good friends.
Been out to Des Lacs a bunch of times for like the college signings. That kind of shows how proud the fans and the administration and coaches are. I see Sara a couple of times at the library for like the other athletes doing. Now her signing was down in Jamestown. You let me know about that, so we were able to throw something really quick together with the photos. I think we did something on the phone, right?
Yeah, I texted you.
Yeah, we texted or whatever just to get like a statement. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times when that happens and like the athletes' friends are around, I mean, not even at a signing, but at a practice, they always like give each other grief and try to get people to like mess up on camera and stuff. What was going to be your preference like for your signing day? Were you good with the texting, or would you have liked to have it here in Des Lacs?
I wish I could have had it here in Des Lacs just to kind of, I guess. I don't know, that's just kind of what I always thought it would be. Like, I always thought I'd have that spot in the library with the backdrop and everything. And I mean, Jamestown was super nice, too. We had a lot of pictures, but it just wasn't the same with all my friends weren't there. And, you know, it was kind of different. But either way, it worked out. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, for sure. You're the next one up. I mean, you're going somewhere no matter where the thing is taking place. Right. So we got about 10 years to go, perhaps, before we do this about, like, Jake growing up and doing the same
Yeah.
things, my best guess. So let's quick touch on how Brayden's doing at college at Montana Tech, and does he do all right with the distance? I get a little bit of an impression about what you think of the distance. But is he fortunate to be away from the podcast interview right now?
Right.
Is he being lucky about that too, or what?
Yeah, he's hiding. That's fine. Yeah, I was kind of shocked that he picked Montana Tech. It came down to just a couple different schools, and that one just fit him better. Really proud and really frightened at the same time. Really proud of him for taking off and having the guts to just say, yep, I'm off. I'm going to go do my thing. But scared, obviously. As a mom, you don't want your kids to be more than a few feet away.
Yeah, you don't want the freaking pandemic, but at least he's home sooner with the virtual classes, or what?
And it worked out well for me.
There's been like no cabin fever yet in the Bonn household, both finishing DLB school and Montana Tech school, or what? I'm asking Sarah that
Yeah.
one.
There was a little bit of it right away. I would call Mom, like, can we set up, what did I say, the dartboard. We got a new dartboard, and I was like, can we please set this up? I'm going insane. I just need something to do. And then, guidelines started being put up so I could get out more. So
Yeah.
it's not too bad anymore. But that first week or two was a tough one.
Yeah.
Where does the biggest sibling rivalry take place? It
Right
doesn't
now, it's me and Jake probably.
shooting darts.
Oh,
Or
no.
what?
Just living.
Oh yeah.
Because me and Brayden, we butt heads a lot growing up, but now me and Brayden are just super close, and me and Jake are kind of in that stage
guys-
where we butt heads all the time.
Yeah, you guys are butt heads most of the time.
Oh, fantastic. Well, on the bright side, with the senior Babe Ruth baseball going on, I'm sure you guys will be there as much as you can.
Yeah.
Get some freaking air. Get
Yes.
out. Enjoy
Yeah.
the summer before the big time down in Jamestown, okay?
Yep.
Appreciate you guys' time, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Ben.
No problem, thank you.